Hey, what's up everybody? Your local expert Josh here, and today we're going to go over a little bit of a kind of a supplemental video to the book report that we did about Local is Our Future. This information is to kind of bring to light. In the book they talk about decentralization of the power of local economies, and part of that is when there are situations where there are larger companies that have a stake in the revenues generated in any geographical area. So we thought it prudent to explain two franchise business models that actually extract money out of our local economy and send it elsewhere. Okay, I wanted to kind of start the video off with thought on why franchises, the business model, was created. And I've done some research on the topic, and it kind of led me to this conclusion. And the conclusion is franchises were created so that companies can expand across long distances without the limitations of financial and human capital. Right? So we've talked about it in the past, you have these companies that start out as companies, and they create a great procedure, they have a brand that they've established and all that, and they want to expand their operations, but it's a lot harder to do that if you are yourself moving to another area, building a shop or building something, hiring employees, creating essentially a new location for your business. So I wanted to start with this explanation here, but we're going to kind of get into a little bit more of a visual about how this actually affects our local economy. All right, so let me grab my eraser here. What we want to look at is that with our local economy, right? Let's make one circle right here. Boom. This is our local economy. So I'm going to say local econ. Okay, now in our local economy, we have, right here we have, let's say, local businesses. All right, we have people. And let's say we have franchises. All right, so we have more entities than this, but let's say these are the entities for now. All a local economy is a collection of people in a certain area, people and businesses in a certain area that exchange goods and services. Okay, so when we think about that, there are all types of different businesses that can be local businesses or franchise businesses. Franchises have certain financial obligations to the company that they represent. If you have a franchise, typically there's a royalty fee and fees that are paid back to that franchise, and essentially that money goes to wherever that franchise is located. Usually it's within the United States, and usually it's not local in our Northwest Michigan area here. Okay, so let's make another circle here. Anywhere USA, that's where the money's going. Anywhere else but here. Okay, so let's do that. Circle. Anywhere USA. There we go. Okay, so let's get through this a little bit. So we have our franchise right here, okay? How does a franchise pull money out of our local economy? Well, to start, when someone gets into a franchise or wants to go into a franchise, there is usually an amount of money, a sum of money that they have to put up to get the rights to that franchise. Okay, so in most cases we call that capital. They have to have some sort of capital that allows them to essentially buy in. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's paid to the company that's not from here, right? So that's the first thing. That's money that could have been spent on resources locally but are going out of our local economy. Okay, so let's go over here. Capital. Startup. Okay, what's the second thing? So there's, when a business is established, okay, there are royalty fees. So in order to use that name, use that procedure, use everything for that business, there is a royalty fee. The average royalty fee for franchises could be anywhere between 5 and 7%, maybe more, maybe less, right? But that's just a good average. So 5 to 7% of every dollar generated in our local economy is going to be sent out in royalty fees for this franchise, right? So another amount of money that's going out, royalty fees. Royalty fees, there we go. And keep in mind, that is before tax. So that is a business expense, meaning that the taxable income of this business is being lowered, right, with this fee. Because these are expenses of the business, they can be deducted for tax purposes. That amount of money is not being taxed in our local community. That's some lost money there too. So let's say 5 to 7%. Okay, so now we have that. Now most of these franchises tack on another 2 to 3% for marketing fees. The big brand that person that buys into the company gets costs money. These franchises do regional, national marketing, regional marketing, and local marketing, and usually they charge each franchisee a fee for that. So 2% for marketing. So let's say that 2% fee for marketing expense. 2%. Let's just give it the benefit of the doubt, say 2%. It's no more than that, okay? So 2%, we'll say that right there. Now, it is the goal of the franchisor, the main company, to provide the franchisee, the person buying into the company, with essentially what we call a business in a box. What that means is that they are providing, in most cases, valuable business solution services for that franchisor or franchisee. So what does that mean? Sometimes they offer human resources. Sometimes they offer hiring help, insurance programs. They sometimes offer IT services and internet help, help with online websites and stuff like that, right? Sometimes it's CRMs. The big key here is that the opportunity cost, so I'm not sure if everyone knows what the opportunity cost, but essentially an opportunity cost is the cost of something that you're not doing because you're going with something else, right? It's the alternative cost. So what is the cost of the thing that you're not doing? Okay, does that make sense, I hope? So if they're using the business solutions, whatever those might be, from that franchisor, okay, they're not using those business solutions locally, which means they're probably not getting a local, web design company, or maybe they're not using local companies for IT. It boils down to not having to need local companies to service their business in some aspects. Now, this is not every aspect, and every franchise is different, but this is meant to be a general video to let you know of how most systems work, okay? So business solutions. I'm going to put opportunity cost, because the business solution, them using that is not the loss to our company or our local community. Them not using a local business is the loss to the local economy. Okay, so that's the main 4 things that you'll take out of most professional services. So professional service franchises, most of them will take these 4 fees or have these 4 costs related to an outside entity taking stake in the local economy's revenue. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Now I want to switch over, because there's the professional service business model that we're talking about right there. All those fees remain consistent for the next model, and that's why we did the professional services first. The next model is the chain food service model, okay? This is your fast food joints or your chain food joints, okay? Now those same establishments usually do all these things, right? So let's go here, food. So that's the food one, right? So you go food there. They also, with the food. Believe it or not, these companies, these fast food and chain restaurants, do not get their food locally in most cases. So they have, a lot of them have their own food lines, and they ship their food to each location. And in most cases, chain restaurants have to use the chain's food. They make all their dishes through the chain's menu, the chain's food. So from the food that you eat all the way up through the brand and royalty fee services, restaurants that are chain or fast food joints are taking money out of our local economy and not engaging with our local food supply, right? So that's really important, especially with the book. Other things that most chain restaurants have: insurance. Typically, they have some sort of special insurance through the actual chain carrier. What does that mean? They're not using local insurance providers. They're not using local professionals to take care of their insurance needs. The next one would be contractors, right? So when they buy a building to put in a new fast food restaurant, they usually have there's a specific contractor that is tasked with building out the building to suit their needs. Okay, so contractor. Okay, so that's the opportunity cost, because they're not using a local contractor to do this service that is needed. Okay, so that's important there. Now there are other little fees that go into specific ones, but just this list right here, you guys, this is what the cost is. So when you use a franchise, this is what the cost is that you're looking for, that's coming out. And again, the reason why we're going over this is because these fees are not very seen. This is not what customers are seeing, okay? This is the reason why companies can go over entire states, or they can go over entire nations in a really quick manner, is because they're able to find people in certain areas, have them pay into their system, provide them with the service, business in a box of what we say, right? I say in the quotations because business in a box, they have their procedures intact. Then they just pull fees off of every dollar that's earned in our community, and it goes to anywhere USA, wherever their home base is, wherever their company is located, that's where they go. Okay, that's where these fees go. All right, so when you're looking at these franchises and you're looking for local companies to do business with, make sure you keep in mind when you're going with a franchise, there are costs associated with working with franchises that you don't see, that our community pays for. All right, so keep that in mind. At this point, I wanted to shout out Grand Traverse Pie Company, because Grand Traverse Pie Company is a local restaurant that is actually a franchisor. They have franchise locations. They have multiple locations outside of our area, right? And the fact that all this stuff that we're talking about how franchises pull money out of our local economy, they do that the opposite. They bring money into our local economy because of things like this. So I'm not saying that franchises are bad. I'm just saying that the ones that are not home based in our area have a claim on the revenue that is generated in our economy, and they're not here home base wise. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I really appreciate everybody watching. Please put comments below. Tell me what you think. Again, with this, knowledge is power. So if you know this, and let's say you're looking for a professional service, if you have a personal relationship with someone that's working at a franchise, I'm not saying break that relationship or anything like that. But if you are looking and you don't have that personal relationship, I would encourage you to give a local business the chance to earn your business, and not just go with a big name brand that you might just have heard about or known of, okay? Because that's what these people are getting paid for. All right, so thank you everybody that's watching. Hope you have a great day today. Support local.